members. We have a quorum for the meeting, so I call to order the meeting of the Subcommittee on Matters Relating to Railways. First item, information paper issued since the last meeting. The Secretariat has not issued any paper since the last meeting. Next item is items for discussion at the next meeting. Please refer to LC paper number CB-3458/2026-01 list of outstanding items for discussion, and also CB-3458/2026-02 list of follow-up actions. The next regular meeting is scheduled for the 3rd of July, Friday, from 10:45 a.m. to 12:45 p.m. As for the items to be discussed at the next meeting, I'd like to invite members to refer to the list of outstanding items for discussion. The administration has proposed to discuss 2 items. First, service performance and extreme weather coping measures of MTRCL. And second, progress update on railway projects in the Northern Metropolis. If there is no objection from members, then these 2 items will be discussed at the next meeting. All right, thank you. Next item. Item 3. Progress update on enhancement of MTR facilities and passenger experience. Please refer to the administration's paper, LC paper number CB-3458/2026-03. So, would the staff please invite the administration and the MTRCL representatives to come into the room? Members, if you want to ask questions, please press the request to speak button. Let me welcome Mr. Kirk Yip, Deputy Secretary for Transport and Logistics 2 from Transport and Logistics Bureau, Ms. Emily Ng, Principal Assistant Secretary for Transport and Logistics 4, the same bureau. And let me also welcome from the MTRCL, Mr. Wilson Kwong, Hong Kong Transport Services Director, Ms. Cherise Lee, Deputy Director Operating in Metro Segment MTRCL, as well as Ms. Annie Leung, General Manager, and Ms. Anthea Koo, General Manager Corporate Relations. Welcome to our meeting. I will invite the administration and the MTRCL to walk us through the paper. Who would like to start first? Mr. Yip, would you like to make a start? Right. Good morning, Chair members. The MTRCL is the busiest railway network with high density, serving an average of over 5 million passenger trips daily. This is also the backbone of our public transport system in Hong Kong. We have been liaising very closely with the MTRCL to ensure safety and reliability of their services. We're happy to learn that the MTRCL has noted the passengers' needs and in a timely manner put in resources to enhance passenger experience and upgrade MTRCL facilities. Now, I will invite the MTRCL to give members an update on the enhancement of MTR facilities and passenger experience so as to implement smart mobility through hardware upgrade and provision of information for passengers to meet their needs. The MTRCL will also brief members on various measures to support the community and to promote tourism in Hong Kong. So, who will speak from the MTRCL? Mr. Kwong, how long will it take for you to complete the presentation? 5 minutes? I need a bit more time. Well, members already have a copy of your PowerPoint presentation, so please be as brief as possible. I'd like to save more time for the interactive session between members and the MTRCL and the administration. Well, the MTRCL has been set up for over 40 years that we have been promoting mobility in Hong Kong through our reliable, safe, and highly efficient services. We receive over 5 million passenger trips daily. We're one of the busiest railway networks in the world. Now, since merger of the two railway corporations and continuous expansion of the railway network, we have been able to maintain a very high level of accuracy. That is 99.9%, and we'll continue to put in resources and renew railway assets. We'll also rely on technology and innovation so as to enhance customer services, promote smart mobility, and work with the community. And we have, for example, the MTR mobile app. There are over 2.5 million active users on a monthly basis. And with the use of big data, we can provide real-time MTR information. So the app is like a private assistant for passengers. There are also different itinerary suggestions and real-time information. And should there be any hiccups, there will be suggestions on alternative routes to help members of the public adjust their itineraries. We also enhance dissemination of information. For example, at major heavy rail interchange stations, we've put signages and display panels to provide information about train arrivals. We also provide enlarged pictures and signage to facilitate passengers. Now, at the super interchange station, that's Admiralty Station, we've introduced the new electronic map and exit signages. Now, the touchscreen function is available for passengers to search for the quickest routes and facilities nearby. We've also been upgrading the new gates. They are now equipped with wider passageway and slimmer design. There are over 2,000 of them commissioned already. We also support e-payments, and there are different forms of e-payments. With the mobile app, you can buy the e-City Saver single journey ticket, monthly pass, as well as the City Saver. Passengers can also make use of e-payments such as QR code and credit cards to board the Airport Express. Now, next, I'd like to introduce my colleague called Tracy. She is a virtual service ambassador. She's there to answer passengers' questions. We have received positive response. The usage rate continues to go up. On a monthly basis, she takes about 80,000 inquiries. And she also makes use of the large language model to consolidate information on a continuous basis. She can also speak different languages, from Cantonese, Putonghua, English to other languages as well. Now, Tracy can be found at 11 stations. She can answer inquiries on routes, ticket prices, ticket fares, as well as attractions nearby. In fact, we've introduced the ticketing function and payment functions at 4 stations, such as Admiralty, Causeway Bay, Hong Kong U, and Olympic. And for those who are unable to use the gate, they can also make use of Tracy. In light of the aging population, we need to tackle the challenge. We have over 10% of passengers being elderly passengers on a daily basis, and we have looked into their practical needs on a regular basis. We also exchange views with elderly groups to enhance station facilities and services. For example, we are now putting enlarged signages in stations to facilitate passengers. In fact, in our railway network, on the concourse level, the stations at the bus stops nearby, we provide over 6,300 seats for elderly people to take a break. We also have an app called MTR Care that is elderly friendly. We adopt a simple design with guidance. We also have large pictograms, and we also support the speech-to-text input function to help elderly passengers. We also work with the elderly academies in providing training so that 380 elderly people are now our ambassadors to promote safety, information, and smart mobility. We also attach great importance to social inclusion, carrying the passenger with needs. We have, for example, the MTR Care app to help with navigation. We have in-station navigation as well to help those in need look for support in the station. We also have the wheelchair portable ramp available for booking. In 27 interchange stations, we've installed the door pre-closing alert indicators to ensure safety for the visually impaired. We've also completed the automatic platform gates or screen door installation in all heavy rail stations in the middle of last year. There are now 1,600 pairs of screen doors, and we have 100% achieve rate, and this is a major achievement for us. Now summer is approaching. Our colleagues have stepped up their efforts in cleaning the stations and checking the facilities to ensure good ventilation and a comfortable environment for passengers. In recent years, we have put in place ventilation and cooling facilities, and they're deployed at different stations. At 26 stations, we provided water dispensers. Now, in the coming year, we are going to install over 130 walled fans and cooling ventilators to enhance ventilation in stations to cope with possible extreme weathers. In individual stations, we've also put new window film to cool off the station, and we've also put in place chillers. The old chillers will be replaced to save energy, and on top of that, we're optimizing the user resources to enhance public education. For example, we have enhanced our efforts in conservation. In Hong Kong Station, where the intercity direct through train used to operate, we have recently completed an expansion of the exhibition. And apart from showcasing the exhibits, we also help members of the public explore the daily operation of the railway network. In terms of community and public education, we have different tourist attractions in 18 districts, and over 30 stations are now installed with QR codes that can help passengers explore different tourist attractions. We also have the light rail cutie, the MTR ambassador, that help promote the unique characteristics in Tuen Mun, Yuen Long, Tin Shui Wai. And we also support tourism economy from national games to Hong Kong Rugby Sevens. We've been fully cooperating with the government. We have thematic trains to create check-in spots to locals and for locals and visitors. We're happy to see that pet-friendly shopping malls are now in operation, and we have regularized a scheme called Cat Dog Carrying Scheme. And then in March, together with the SPCA, we held this event called SPCA Dogathon, and we also allowed for the first time pet dogs to ride on heavy rails. I also joined some members in taking my own dog to join the experience. We have received positive experience. We'll continue to draw on the experience and listen to views of the public so as to adjust our policy to meet the needs of passengers. Now, our service is highly recognized by our local community and the international community. For example, for the two apps I mentioned, in the Hong Kong ICT Awards 2025 and the International Exhibition of Inventions Geneva, as well as Hong Kong ACE Customer Service Excellence Award, we received some awards, and we actually received 14 awards under the Hong Kong ACE Customer Service Excellence Award, including the elderly care program as well as digital transformation for travel concession schemes. We also won the Grand Award, that is the champion. This is a full recognition of the work of the Hong Kong MTR team for the commitment to caring for the community and providing highly efficient services. We cherish the public's feedback. We want to enhance passenger experience. We also attach importance to invaluable views from every stakeholder and passenger. We engage the community on a continuous basis. We have the Hear Your Voice initiative to gauge the feedback, and last year the satisfaction rate obtained by the MTRCL was the highest since the merger. We thank everyone for the support and will continue to listen to stakeholders and maintain communication. We will balance the needs of different parties and keep in view the needs of the community. We'll continue to enhance our quality service and barrier-free railway service to promote smart mobility. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Guy.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson Kwong from the MTRCL. It's now a question and answer session. We have quite a number of members who wanted to speak. We have 13 members who have pressed the request to speak button. Now, I need to make some arrangements because the discussion of the item was supposed to end at 12 p.m. I want to, as much as possible, allow all members to speak. I will assign a 4-minute time limit for now, questions and answers included, and members should speak as succinctly as possible. I would also like to draw the line after Mr. Leung Man Kwong has started speaking. Let me read out the order in which members are going to speak. Mr. Chan Ho Fung, Mr. Leung Man Kwong, Mr. Chris Ip, Mr. Aaron Bott, Mr. Yang Wing Kit, Mr. Chong Ho Fung, Ms. Julia Lau, Mr. Adrian Ho, Captain Lothair Lam, Mr. Tam Chen Kwok, Mr. Lam Wai Kong, Ms. Christine Fong, and Mr. Holden Chow. As I said earlier, I will assign a 4-minute time limit. When Mr. Lam Man Kwong starts speaking, I'll draw the line. Members who want to speak but have yet to press the request to speak button, please press it as soon as possible. Thank you. Mr. Chen Hao-feng. Thank you, Chair. The MTRCL has enhanced its services, but there's always room for improvement. I have seen some operational issues in stations. For the South Island line at Admiralty Station, most of the time trains would only come on one platform. Because people are queuing up on a single platform, it will block the space. Have you considered using both platforms to lessen the crowds in the area? Of course, you have to enhance the frequency of the trains on South Island line during peak hours for work at Wong Chuk Hang Station or Lei Tung Station. There are so many people on the platforms, so I think you should enhance frequency of trains on South Island line. Next, for Tung Chung Station, we'll see expansion for Tung Chung East and Tung Chung West stations. Is it possible for us to expedite the works so that we can make use of the station in the new accommodation area to alleviate the crowds? There's also room for enhancing the frequency of trains. For the Hong Kong U Station, every morning we have many students queuing to go up to University of Hong Kong. How can you deal with this? All right, 3 questions. Who is going to answer the question? Mr. Yip or someone from the MTRCL? I'll ask Mr. Wilson Kwong from the MTRCL to answer the questions. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for the questions. There were 3 questions. For a South Island line question, we do note the situation starting from 10th of April during the evening peak hours on 5 days. We have 2 platforms in operation and trains will come on both platforms. We are closely monitoring the situation to see what we can further improve on. As for whether we can commission Tung Chung East Station early, we will look at the situation. It really depends on the progress. At an appropriate time, we'll make further announcements. As for the Hong Kong U Station, the MTRCL is committed to providing a good station environment for citizens, and we do know there is queuing at the Hong Kong U station. For this, I would like to ask Ms. Cheris Lee to answer this specific question. Thank you. With the Hong Kong U station, we have 2 exits and entrances relying on lifts for access. We have close communication with the University of Hong Kong. We have implemented some measures. We have deployed station officers to really manage the crowds. We also have some audio reminders urging citizens to put down their bags so that there's more space in lifts. We also provided some information to the University of Hong Kong so that internally they know the queuing situation for the 2 accesses in the MTR station. So we do pay close attention to the situation, and we're working closely with the Hong Kong U on this. Mr. Lang Kwong. Thank you, Chair. We have seen the public have quite a positive feedback for the arrangements implemented by the MTR, but I think there is still room for improvement for the operations of stations as well as hardware facilities of stations. I just think there's always room for improvement. I actually talked about many times the arrangements for Nam Chung Station, especially for Exit B. In future, we will have another primary school. We do see rapid growth in population in the area, and I have been asking for so many years when we'll have something at Exit A and Exit B for escalator access. That is, we have 2-way escalators. We have seen refurbishments done to lifts, but then it does not really fulfill the demand during peak hours. We have quite long queues for both directions. So the MTRC has been talking about they will continuously enhance access and pedestrian connectivity arrangements based on passenger commute habits as well as the surrounding circumstances. When will they enhance the escalator arrangements in Nam Chung Station? Next, for the larger stations, for transfers, people need to walk quite a while. How can we provide clearer transfer directions, for example, in Meifu Station, Nam Chung Station, between Tsim Sha Tsui and East Tsim Sha Tsui Station? For example, in Meifu, when one goes from West Rail Line to Tsuen Wan Line, you should probably provide some information on when the next train will be. Of course, during peak hours, the trains are really frequent, but it's always good to provide more information to citizens. For example, for Nam Chung Station, East Rail Line and Tung Chung Line, West Rail Line, Tuen Ma Line, and East Rail Line and Tung Chung Line, perhaps you can also provide more information for transfers. Lastly, the PowerPoint presentation talked about the virtual service ambassador Tracy, but not a lot of stations provide Tracy services. When will we have bigger transfer stations such as Meifu Station and Nam Chung Station will be served by Tracy? Thank you. Mr. Wilson Kong. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Member, for the questions, and thank you for your recognition. We do try to provide an ideal station environment for the public, but we need to have in mind the geographical constraints, passenger demand, and resources available. I will ask Charis to answer the question specifically in relation to Nam Chung Station. I will ask Annie to answer the 2 other questions. Ms. Charis Lee. Thank you. For Nam Chung Station, Exit B, right now there is an escalator and a set of stairs. People can also take advantage of the lift. If we need to replace the stairs with escalator, it can really affect the operation, so we have to be prudent. Miss Annie Leung, please be brief. Thank you. We have all along been trying to enhance dissemination of information, putting in place information displays showing the transfer times. AR3C, we do have plans to expand the arrangements to other stations. In 2028, we have half of the stations in our network that will be served by Tracy. Mr. Chris Ip, I think we have all observed the great services of MTRs, how they are well received by the public. I want to ask about some signal reception issues. When we're on trains, sometimes telephone network does not have good receptivity. For example, from Cheung Kwan O to Lewis Park, another is from Kam Sheung Road to Chun Wan West. I believe these are some hardware issues. Can the MTR put in place some hardware upgrades to improve these receptivity issues? Because I have received quite a number of citizens talking about this. I also note some ads being posted on gates. I think you need to increase your revenue, but in Admiralty Station, people going through gates will hear slogans of certain ads. It can cause quite some nuisance. Is this really true? Have you received related complaints? I also note some passengers, I suppose mainland visitors, using the power outlets in MTR stations. Have you received such complaints? I believe there is great demand for power supply for charging of mobile devices. Seeing this, would you consider putting in place charging facilities at appropriate locations for the use of passengers, specifically visitors? Thank you. Mr. Wilson Kong, thank you. Chair, thank you, member, for the questions. We do have 5G coverage provided in stations. Mobile network services are provided by different operators. We do have close communication with different providers. We will go back and review coverage in the specific sections to see what we can do. As for ads on gates is a part of our commercial operations. However, I would say we do hear different opinions, but we did not receive complaints on this specific issue. I will perhaps ask Ms. Cheris to talk about the provision of power outlets. Ms. Cheris Lee, thank you. We do have charging facilities for passengers, especially in stations frequented by tourists. We do work with some convenience stores to provide rentals of power banks. We do urge passengers not to make use of power outlets in stations. Mr. Chris Ip, well, for some stations, there are no convenience stores or shops. I think we should refer to the practices in mainland overseas to provide power outlets for people. MTRC, we do have some locations that already have that. We'll see if we need to review the arrangements at different locations. I think you should really think about this because there are different media reports saying that individuals, including visitors, would use power outlets that should not be used for charging, and that can obstruct access. It can also constitute some safety hazards. Mr. Aaron Bach, thank you, Chair. I heard a MTRCL representative say the compliance rate is approximately 99.9%, but even with a 0.1% rate of failure, people will still complain about the services, and I think therefore you should continue to seek improvement. My question is about paragraph 10 with changes in demographics. You are still committed to building a seamless and inclusive transport network. So in the next 3 years, do you have plans to improve access arrangements, and what specific improvement arrangements will you have in response to adverse weather conditions? Thank you, Mr. Wilson Kwong.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Deputy Chair, Mr. Bok, for the questions. Of course, we will continue to strive for excellence in relation to improving the environment of the stations. This is, of course, an ongoing effort. I'm not going to go into detail about specific stations. But on the whole, we will monitor the situation with a view to enhancing passenger experience. We need to have regard to development of the local community, for example, and also commercial buildings which express interest in connecting to our stations. Now, extreme weather is a common challenge. So for the MTRCL, as pointed out in our PowerPoint, we have put in place a preparation plan to cope with possible extreme weather events, such as anti-flooding facilities and risk management, and at high risk locations such as entrances and exits. We also put in place flood detectors, and we also trim trees in advance of the rainy season and we also disseminate information in relation to change of train frequency during typhoons. Now, in relation to particular entrances and exits, you should install temporary anti-flood gates, say up to a 300 millimeter clearance to prevent the station from being flooded. Well, about this question by Deputy Chair, in July we're going to discuss a specific topic on measures to tackle extreme weather. But of course, I understand where the Deputy Chair is coming from, because the typhoon season will arrive soon. So let's see if the MTRCL has anything to provide, any information to provide at the moment. Thank you. Well, the design of the MTR exits is that it should be at least 450 millimeters higher than the ground level. We also have anti-flood gate that are 1.2 meters high, and on a need basis, we also installed anti-flood screen doors, and we also have flood detectors installed at 32 locations with high risks. We'll continue to closely monitor the situation. Mr. Kisanyang, I'm a frequent MTR traveler. I don't feel any particular change in terms of passenger experience. Perhaps I ride on the Tuen Ma line, and it's not the line you mentioned. For Ho Man Tin, To Kwa Wan, Song Wong Toi, and Kai Tak, these are stations serving the elderly community. You mentioned measures to tackle the changes in demography, but I don't see any substantial change. For example, in To Kwa Wan, exit B, just outside there is a very long and slanted slope accessing housing estates and schools. We've been complaining about this for 4 to 5 years, and you have not installed any lift or escalator. The other point is about the virtual service ambassador Tracy. Indeed, it's multifunctional, but our elderly people are not familiar with the services. For example, if they are to apply for transport subsidy, they need to go to Hongham Station. Why not make it convenient for them? Because you have a customer service kiosk and you have staff stationed there. Why don't you operate a genuine customer service center instead? Because you can only touch the screen but not submit any application via Tracy. Now these are complaints that have been voiced many years, but I don't see any improvement. Say for Mayfu Station, there is a machine that allow verification of the tickets, but we need the same machine for Kowloon Central, such as Huangpo and Kowloon Tong Station. We've been talking about this for many years. Why don't you install the same machine at these stations? Give it a thought. With this machine, you can allow, say, elderly passengers to answer the nature's call on the other side with just a tap on the machine and then go back to their original route. Because all these can make it convenient for passengers, not just Tracy. Because elderly people are not tech savvy. Mr. Kwong, thank you for the questions. In general, let me talk about the new facilities. Of course, we want to provide the ideal environment for passengers. I'm sorry. I want to interject, Chairman. Please don't talk about things in general. Just answer my specific questions. Right, answer the specific questions about the 3 stations. Yes, but in order to implement what the members suggested, we need to have regard the site constraints and the overall conditions. Now, for To Kwa Wan, I ask Cherish to answer the question. At exit B of To Kwa Wan, we have a set of stairs and escalator serving that exit. For needy passengers, they may wish to use the lift installed at exit A and exit D. Because of structural and site constraints at exit B, it is difficult to build another escalator. What about Mayfu? Well, because of the unique feature of Mayfu, we allow passengers from both sides to tap the machine in order to get in. We'll have regard to the actual situation. And the member mentioned answering the nature's call. If need be, a passenger can ask our staff for help. Now, about Mr. Kissen Young's question on Tracy and offering help in person. Please follow up on this issue after the meeting. Now let me follow up on To Kwa Wan Exit B, because you have a flight of stairs and escalators, but elderly people aren't able to use the stairs. It has 70-80 steps. It's a very slanted slope. I don't see any structural issue. Let's go check it out together. I think the MTR has answered your question very clearly. Please follow up after the meeting. Mr. Mark Chong. Now, the MTR services are something really close to the heart of Roundtable. The MTRCL has made a lot of improvements, but more is desired. The convener, Mr. Michael Tien of my party, is very concerned about the upgrade of software and hardware. You're in the process of upgrading the signaling system. Now, I want to make sure that after the new signaling system is put in place, which is worth billions of dollars, in the event of any malfunctioning of either track, you can still allow for dual-way operation on a single track, because otherwise it may be impractical and you need to shorten the time for repair. And let's talk about technology. On staff training, you need to do more to shorten the time for repair, because sometimes you need to suspend the whole railway line, and why not allow different sections to operate as long as they are not malfunctioning. The third point is about signage at exits. I think in March I asked a question about the signage used based on the buildings nearby. For example, in exit B of Kowloon Bay, passengers usually use Amoy Gardens as the uh, location indicator. So I think you should make sure that the buildings most frequently accessed should remain as the signage and not the newest building. About light rail transit in the past, there is a big signage, and that for those who come with a grocery shopping cart, they can easily look at the sign and decide whether to use LRT or the bus instead from afar. I want this to be reinstalled. And about mobility equipment, I know that at the moment this is not allowed on the MTR trains. Now the government will regulate the mobility devices soon. By then there will be a conflict with the government policy. So will the MTRCL grant permission eventually? My last question is about mobile signal. And when I take the Tuen Ma line, mobile signal at Tai Lam Tunnel section is always poor. Is there anything to amplify the Wi-Fi or whatever signal at that section? Mr. Kwong. Right, very quickly, Mr. Zhang asked five questions. Now about the signaling system, I'm happy to report that with member support, we completed the upgrade for Tsuen Wan line on the 15th of March. In general, starting from 2023, in a 5-year period, we have put in over $65 billion for the renewal of railway assets, maintenance and repair, and this can help us with predictive maintenance and the daily operation of the railway lines, so that by collecting data we can have regard to the real-time information, and then we can know in advance whether some components are malfunctioning, and that we can mount repair as quickly as possible. Under the new signaling system, we will have regard to the idea of dual operation on a single track, but then we need to have regard to the particular locations as well. For exits, we want to provide clear, accessible, easy to read information on the signage, and we'll also continue to keep in view the latest situation. In general, we'll have regard to the closest building. This is our priority, but at the same time, we also consider the iconic landmark public facilities, and we will make adjustments on a continuous basis based on passenger usage. About LRT, I will give the floor to Cheris. Right, please be succinct because there are a number of questions asked. Right, thank you for the question. Last year, we installed the new information display panels on all LRT stops. The new panels come with the latest information, and in fact, we show the departures within the 19-minute frame. We'll continue to keep in view the situation. Next, about mobility equipment. Safety is the priority of our operation, so we will conduct risk assessment on a regular basis. Now, for electric mobility devices, they come with a lithium battery, and as a result, there is a fire hazard involved. This is a major challenge for our operation. Apart from the disabled who get the waiver for using the electric wheelchair, other electric mobility devices are not allowed. What about those recognized by the government? Well, I think the MTR will go back and talk to the government. Now, about the EMD regulation, we are in the process of conducting a study. Before final implementation, we will, of course, liaise with different stakeholders, including the MTRCL, for smooth implementation. Next, Ms. Julia Lau. Earlier, the government indicated that the government is studying the application and development of a new app for the senior citizen card. Now, it is said that the new MTR gates will support different forms of e-payments as well. I want to know, have an update from the administration. When will they make an announcement, and will there be any measure to tackle abuse? The second point is about smart mobility. Through updating the automatic payment system and revamping the gates, more e-payment tools can be supported. But I think that in terms of smart mobility, we should not just stay at diversifying the payment forms and while still using the gates. In fact, in last year in Osaka, in the World Expo, we see that for some subway systems, the facial recognition is already being used, including the railway lines run by MTR in Hangzhou and Shenzhen. So will the new generation gates come with the facial recognition technology? So will there be a timetable so as to make it convenient for passengers? The last question is this. As mentioned in the paper, there are different smart mobility initiatives, including the route planner, e-tickets, and AI service. However, I don't see any one-stop service involving MAAS, but in the government's roadmap for promoting smart mobility, it is said that an integrated system will be built, providing one-stop app and data, which will help provide customer-oriented services. For the MTR lab, MAS is also mentioned. When will the app be enhanced so that it can connect to other public transport operators?
All right, 4 questions, Mr. Wilson Kwong. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Lau, for the questions. Well, some questions may have to be answered by the representative from the government. We do pay close attention to the development of electronic payment methods. You can see we accommodate many different kinds of e-payment methods now. The gates support octopuses, QR code payment methods, as well as other electronic payment methods. I will perhaps let Annie answer the question on MTR Mobile, or yes, Miss Annie Leung. We have been working with different operational units and mobile app operators. We are conducting some studies. In future, we will have connectivity through MTR mobile app to other apps to provide more convenient and seamless experience for our passengers. Mr. Kurt Yip. We have been promoting smart mobility. We have some mobile apps consolidating different information from public transport operators to provide better passenger experience. Any follow-up questions from Ms. Lau? The possibility of facial recognition and JoyU card. We will continue to pay attention to the implementation situation at different locations. You have to pay attention to the development trends as well as passenger acceptance, whether they're willing to provide their biological data to relevant private sector companies. Thank you, Captain Luther Lam. Thank you, Chair. We have the MTR having wide coverage in Hong Kong. It provides frequent services. It is a transport option that is frequently used by visitors. They have made great enhancements to station facilities, including bathrooms. They want to make sure passengers have barrier-free experience. We have heavy rail stations that have barrier-free access and facilities, but then some stations, for example, Fortress Hill Station on Island Line, do not have lift cells, and there are many hotels nearby. It can be quite inconvenient for visitors because they have to carry their luggage up and down the stairs. They may also have children with them. The barrier-free lifts for lobbies and platforms access are for priority persons. And I actually heard a citizen say when a disabled person is trying to get on the lift first, they are saying they are jumping the queue. So I think we need to do more in public education. So after going past the gate, someone asks me to take the lift, but a lot of people are queuing for escalators, so there are more people taking the lifts on station officers' instructions. There are different people taking the lift, elderly persons, people carrying luggage. We have to understand quite a number of people take lifts now, especially at bigger stations such as Homerton Station. For exit signage, you have a great electronic map. You would tell people where to go, but then they only know which exit to take. They don't actually know which direction they should walk in after they are out of the exit. If you can tell people perhaps whether they should turn left or right after getting out of the station exit, it would be great because some people do not know well the directions. So if you can provide such directions, it can provide greater convenience to passengers. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Lam, for the questions. We have different station designs and geographical environment in stations. We have at least one barrier-free access, including a lift, a ramp, and other barrier-free facilities. Due to the history of MTR stations, some facilities cannot be installed. And at Fortress Hill Station, as the member said, we have a wheelchair lift, so that is available. The member also mentioned public education. We do agree. We want to, perhaps through this meeting of the Legislative Council, remind citizens to give priority access to those who need the lift so that they can use the lift first. As for signage, we will always see whether there is room for improvement to provide greater convenience to passengers. Thank you. Mr. Tam Chun Kok. Thank you, Chair. I'm very happy to hear that MTRC is making good use of AI and big data to improve their services. I appreciate this. And in fact, my team and I often receive citizens' feedback on there are crowds at non-peak hours for certain stations, especially in Northern New Territories, as we see population intake in 2 villages. We have had pilot arrangements for over 6 months now. Has the MTRC reviewed whether there is room for enhancing frequency of trains? According to the paper, we have regularized the cat and dog carrying trial scheme. And I also participated in the dogathon. I took my dogs to the event. I had a very good experience. I heard many dog owners say it was quite convenient too. So, would the MTR consider holding similar events or extending the cat and dog carrying arrangements to the heavy rail network so that pet owners can take their pets to different places, promoting the pet economy? Mr. Kirk Ip. Thank you, Chair. Perhaps I'll answer the question on cats and dogs being brought to trains. I will ask the MTRC representative to answer the remaining questions. We do know Mr. Tam's comments, and these are the comments of some other citizens. We have kept close communication with different public transport operators. There are different factors, for example, the different operational models, passenger comfort, and the different operators are looking at what they can do to make things better. Thank you, Mr. Wilson Kwong. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Tam, for the questions. As said, we have enhanced frequency on the East Rail line, especially at the Lot Ma Chau station. We do pay close attention to the situation. We do understand some compartments are more crowded, so we urge passengers to look at the information display panel to see which compartments are more crowded, so perhaps they should avoid compartments. Mr. Tam, has the MTRC considered whether they will enhance the frequency of trains? We have been continuously reviewing this situation. I think the MTRC has been reviewing the situation, but due to a basket of factors, there's a safety issue, there's also an operational issue. The MTRC has a set of rules or practices in terms of enhancing the frequency of trains, but having heard what the member and citizens say, even with there being information display panels telling citizens or passengers which compartments are crowded, there are still great crowds during peak hours. So this is a demand from many citizens and passengers to increase frequency of trains. Thank you. We note the suggestion. Mr. Lam Wai Kong. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I have two concerns to raise. We have the cat and dog carrying trial scheme on light rails. We also had a dogathon or experience day in particular on heavy rail. How can we really strike a balance? We do have pet owners wanting to bring their pets, but then staff members may not have the same view on pets. If staff members raise certain concerns, will you provide some back-end support to staff members at the MTRC? Next, on application of information, I do note that the MTR app would give the latest information of the MTRC in the app. Is it possible for you to share information with other platforms so that when service is suspended or when there are certain issues, you work with Kowloon Motor Bus or other public transport operators or online information platforms such as navigational platforms so that they can immediately receive such updates on railway services? Thank you. Mr. Kirk Ip. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Lam Wai Kong, for the comments. I'll give a first response before I'll let MTRC representative supplement my reply. Whether we will allow passengers to bring their pets on public transport network, as the member suggested, we do need to strike a balance between different needs of stakeholders. As for staff training, I agree it is important, and they actually provided some very good staff training before they held the started the trial arrangements for cat dog carrying trial scheme. As for dissemination of information, we do disseminate important information about the services, and the transport department would have central coordination over different public transport systems, and should there be emergencies and disseminate relevant information. They will also coordinate different transport options to provide enhanced services, such as for bus services or MTR services. Mr. Lam also asked about the arrangements for cat and dog services. For example, what Mr. Lam said about staff members, they had a differing opinion, or they have some sort of resistance against dealing with cats and dogs. Would you provide back and support to employees so that they don't have to deal with such work, Mr. Kwong?
Right, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Lam, for the question. Well, of course, staff plays a very important role in the process. I will ask Ms. Lee to supplement. Right, thank you, Chair. About allowing cats and dogs on board LRT, we need to observe 3 rules. That is, on designated days, in designated train cars, and using the designated methods. Now, all these 3 are important because we want cat or dog owners to completely cover the cats and dogs. That means they should be kept in a bag. This could minimize the chance. Well, we also step up training because some staff members have told us that they are afraid of dogs and cats, and we've told them not to handle the animals directly because supposedly the owners should be responsible for handling them, and that if they are afraid, they should ask other colleagues to help. Ms. Christine Fong. Enhancing passenger experience and MTR facilities, I am all for that, and I acknowledge the hard work of the MTRCL, but I have also received complaints from residents in NT Southeast. That is, when a train goes through certain locations, that is at Hang Hao, at Chang Kwan O stations, and also the Diamond Hill Hin King section, there are places with really poor signal, and the signal could go completely flat. So the MTRCL should take note of that, and also for the outdoor section between Chun Wan and Daiwo Hao. I understand upon completion of works, even when signal number 9 is hoisted, it will still be operational. Will this be extended to other sections such as Tuen Ma Line and also the outdoor section with Lohas Park? Because summer is coming soon, and that the waiting area is rather stuffy. So for exit C of Lohas Park Station, I understand from the MTR just now that 130 wall-type fans will be installed and cooling system will be revamped in phases. Will Lohas Park Station be included as well? About barrier-free access, such as Lohas Park Station, is a big one. Exit B is in particular, and for Chang Kwan O line, it does not have really high frequency, only 6 minutes per departure. Is it possible to increase the frequency to 4 minutes? Because if there is only one lift, is not ideal at all. Would you enhance the installation of lifts to make it more barrier free? And about AED machine, will each exit come with an AED device? Mr. Kwong. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Fong, for the questions. About the network, I thank you for the feedback. We'll go back and give it a thought. And for Chun Wan Line and the section with Taiwo Hao, Well, there is now a change because before the new signaling system, we're not able to implement the dual operation on a single track. Now, because of safety, basically we do not plan to relax the rule when typhoon signal number 9 is hoisted. And about train services in Chuan Kwan O Line, I thank Ms. Fong for the comments. On a regular basis, we keep in view the situation. We will have regard to the overall operation, the change in passenger capacity and commuting patterns, and strive for further improvement. Ms. Lee, would you like to supplement on AED and other matters? Yes, about signage and the installation of AEDs. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Fong, for the questions. In fact, we have put up signage and we do have information available online. We'll enlarge the font. Thank you. Next, Mr. Holden Chow. Thank you, Chair. Enhancement of MTR facilities and passenger experience. I acknowledge the continuous efforts made by the MTRCL. In fact, I already aired my views on other occasions. For the 8-car train running plying Tuen Ma line, many passengers have told me that in terms of its capacity, perhaps more cars should be included. Well, I see that the chairman is already smiling because some passengers may not mind if you're in the last car to come out and go back to another car. That's in fact the experience in other countries. Well, this is important because we are developing the Tuen Mun South extension and the Hong Shui Kiu station will be set up soon. Many residents have reflected their concerns to me. For all the mid-stops such as Yuen Long Station and other stations with larger district population, with a rise in population in the future, they are concerned that they won't be able to board the train. Of course, the arrangement at the moment is based on the current passenger capacity, but now you are upgrading the signaling system and increase the departure. Can you just tell us whether special departures or special cars will be included? Because frankly, with increase in population, will there be special measures such as a departure from one of the mid stops? Because this is really something that residents want. Mr. Kwong, perhaps I'll let Ms. Lee explain Tuen Ma line. Right, in fact, during morning peak hours, we have a 3-minute headway. And we also have special departures. These are express routes so that we can focus on the busiest section, and that's the section from Mayfu to Kam Sheung Road. In fact, it has come to my attention that, for example, in Kam Sheung Road station, passengers tend to concentrate on both ends but not the middle, and we have therefore sent staff to divert passengers to the middle section of the train. But in light of the increase in population, we'll keep in view the situation. About the new signaling system, indeed, for Tsuen Wan Line, we have recently revamped the system. During morning peak hours, we have really frequent train departures, in fact 2 minutes headway. And there are also other factors we need to consider, such as the signaling system, passenger needs, and operation of trains, and we will keep in view the situation and make necessary adjustments. Next, Mr. Zhang Puigong. Thank you, Chair. Now, I'd like to bring up the same subject, and that is to expand Kwun Tong Station and address the issue regarding platforms. Because for the DAB teams working in Kwun Tong, my predecessors have been fighting the corner for residents for this to be done. I'd like to seek your view because Yuman Square is still being redeveloped after decades outside Kwun Tong Station. We want to take this opportunity of redevelopment to further improve and expand Kwun Tong Station's platform to divert the crowd, because at the moment, during peak hours, the platform is really crowded, and upon completion of Yuman Square redevelopment, we envisage an even bigger crowd. At the planning stage, can we do more? I'd like to have a response from the MTR, because I don't think the MTRCL will actively take this on board. So I'd like to hear from the administration as well. From the government's perspective, will you urge the MTRCL and the URA to take it forward? Who would like to take this question first? Mr. Yip, Deputy Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Zhang, for the comments. We do keep all options open when it comes to enhancing the facilities, and we will be happy to explore different options. For Kwun Tong Line is a station that is rather busy, so perhaps we can ask the MTRCL their thoughts. But more importantly, we want to make sure that whilst works are in progress, the service will not be impacted upon, and will also continue to consider other measures as long as they are feasible. Mr. Kwong, anything to add? Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Cheung, for the questions. In 2024, we completed the upgrading of facilities in Kwun Tong Station, including gates, barrier-free facilities, and also the installation of wide berth gates. Ms. Lee can give you details in a moment. Now, if the manager of public facilities outside the MTR station would like to build a connecting bridge to the station, we'll be happy to support and communicate with the counterpart. But like Mr. Yip said, the problem is that Kwun Tong Station is akin to an island, and it's in operation day in, day out. So in terms of a revamp, there is little wiggle room. But in terms of daily operation, perhaps we can do more. I'll give the floor to Ms. Lee to supplement. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Member, for the question. For the Kwun Tong Station is an elevated island. It's difficult to add additional structure to the station without affecting daily operation. In fact, at the concourse, at the exit A, we've added additional stairs, and at exit D, we've also added a barrier-free facility. That means a lift, so that members of the public will not need to go back to exit A for a lift to access the platform. During peak hours, we have additional staff to divert the crowd with some good results. We'll continue to closely monitor the situation. Outside the station, if there are ways to expand the space of the station, we do keep an open mind. Let me also supplement, Chairman, that if you don't take this opportunity of redevelopment to make a joint effort to see it through, then there'll be a slim chance that it can be done. Right, will the government and MTRCL please note the situation? The last one to speak, Mr. Ben Chan. Thank you, Chair. In terms of technology, repair and maintenance, the MTRCL has put in billions of dollars. So that's heavy investment, but things are getting more and more complicated with more railway lines in operation. There may be accidents that may impact on the operation of other aspects. So please continue to talk to our citizens and make sure the public understands your position. Now, the population is on the rise. There is a lot of pressure on East Rail and Twin Mile Line. Together with the additional population upon completion of Northern Metropolis, there will be extra pressure. So other members already mentioned additional train cars. But on top of that, I want you to explore using a a double-decker arrangement so as to further enhance the capacity. In fact, in Australia, they have double-decker trains. In fact, for the intercity train with Guangzhou, the green trains used to have 2 levels as well. So please explore that. Next, about the escalator in Taiwan House Station, can you give us an update? Mr. Kwong. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chan, for your questions. I thank you for your understanding of our services. It's no easy task to operate such a complex railway network in a precise manner. We'll continue to keep up the work, and in terms of public education, we will keep in view the development of the population in northern metropolis. There may be different commuting patterns, but on the double-decker trains, let me supplement. Like Mr. Chan mentioned, in fact, we used to have double-decker trains in running the intercity line. We also have similar trains operating worldwide, but then for double-decker trains, it will take a longer time for passengers to get on and off, and we need to consider the time taken because of the use of double-deckers, because this will affect the overall capacity of the railway line. At this stage, do allow me to say that we do not consider the use of double-deckers because of the technical complexity, but we'll continue to consider members' views. About Taiwan House, I'll give the floor to Ms. Lee.
Yes, Ms. Chair Lee from the MTRC. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chan, or Dr. Chan, for the questions. For adding a new escalator and a set of stairs at Exit B of Taiwan House Station. The works commenced in December 2024. We are actively taking forward such works. We expect to complete the works in 2028. Thank you. Thank you. We had 15 members speak, expressing their views and asking questions. For this item, from what I heard, most members express appreciation for the work of the MTRC, but of course they also expressed views that were the feedback of visitors, citizens and passengers. I hope the MTRC will continue to note the comments and enhance their services. Due to time constraints, I will not ask questions. I would just like to make a point. With the signal system changes and all automatic screen doors and platform gates have been installed. It was not mentioned in the paper, but that has greatly enhanced platform safety. The works were very complex, with the gates and doors installed on all stations. We have much greater safety, and we also have great expectations for the administration and the MTRC to make good use of innovation and technology to enhance the facilities of the MTR and provide a greater customer experience. That ends the discussion of this item. Thank you, representatives from the administration and MTRC, for attending the discussion of this item. Let's move on to the next agenda item, Hong Kong Railway Standards. Please refer to the paper provided by the administration, LC paper number CB-3458/2026-04. I will now invite representatives from the administration to come inside the conference room. Welcome, Secretary and the team. About this item, for members who wish to speak, please press the request to speak button. I understand the representatives from the administration prepared a PowerPoint presentation. The slides have been sent to members on Hong Kong Railway Standards, this presentation file. Welcome again, Secretary and the team. Today you're going to brief members on the Hong Kong Railway Standards. After the presentation, we'll have a question and answer session. Secretary, when you're ready. I will take a few minutes in the briefing. We do have PowerPoint presentation. We'll shorten the presentation just to provide some details to members. Thank you. Today we have here the Highways Department team to brief members on the Hong Kong Railway Standards. We will apply the standards to the different railway projects we are taking forward, especially the cross-boundary railway projects in Northern Metropolis to support the continuous development of the city and its integration into the country's development. National 15 Five-Year Plan talks about specifically that we need to promote collaboration and development of railway systems with the mainland side, and the government have always been trying to promote innovation in technology and policy. In February this year, the Highways Department promulgated the railway standards to set down clear technical guidelines and justifications for the railway system component as well as network technology, so that we can make use of different technologies, equipment for the development of the railway system. The Highways Department worked with experts to explore the railway standards of the country as well as other places, and we really try to gather the best of the best standards. We hope that Hong Kong Railway Standards will not only be a brand for Hong Kong, but also standards of the GBA, maybe even the world. The Highways Department set up the Railway Checking Unit to consolidate different professional knowledge areas and will play a gatekeeper role in terms of safety and quality. They will also try to enhance approval efficiency. We have applied the Hong Kong Railway Standards to the Northern Link project and the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link project. We believe the Hong Kong Railway Standards will significantly increase efficiency of taking forward such projects. But we will apply the standards differently depending on the nature of the projects. For example, the Northern Link project, we have a rough estimate with the use of railway standards and the synergy brought about by developing the main line and spur line at the same time. We will be able to save 20% in construction costs. It will also help us commission the spur line 2 years earlier than our previous target, so that it can be commissioned at the same time as the main line in 2034. The Highways Department will promote railway standards, Hong Kong Railway Standards, through different fora in the mainland and overseas, as well as summits. The Transport and Logistics Bureau will also do some publicity work in the mainland and overseas, as well as in Macau. We will actually hold a technological summit in Macau this year, and next year in Hamburg we will have a summit of the UITP, the International Association of Public Transport. These will lay solid foundations for the wider application of Hong Kong Railway Standards, and thus we can expand to the mainland and go global. My colleague will give a PowerPoint presentation to talk specifically about some applications, equipment, and measures, as well as construction methods to provide more information to members, and then we'll go into the interactive question and answer session. All right, thank you, Mr. Choi Kwok-Fong, Chief Engineer. Please be brief with your presentation. We want to have more time for interactions between the administration and the legislature. Thank you, Chair. I would just take a few minutes. Let me talk about the foundations that we adopt. We adopt some standards. We also combine the guidelines of the DOJ as well as other government departments and the MTRC. Before, we have standards that are quite fragmented, so coordination was needed. We also had the relevant departments and railway works experts work together to refer to the different railway standards in the mainland and overseas and make suitable adjustments in order to comply with the laws of Hong Kong as well as to fit local circumstances. Hong Kong railway standards, apart from incorporating existing standards, we have had some localized mainland and international standards incorporated. There are three aims. We want to provide a well-defined and performance-based set of technical specifications to facilitate industry participation. We also want to enable more potentially qualified engineering consultants and contractors to participate. We are also trying to promote safety, reliability, and sustainability of railway projects, as well as expedite the projects so that we can be more efficient. We try to adopt unified and standardized railway design. We also plan to introduce technical specifications for station design, construction equipment, rolling stock, and construction methods. We want to expedite the workflow. We also want to broaden options for construction materials, construction equipment, and railway systems to really capitalize on quality and efficient supply chains. We are also trying to optimize construction procedures. I will talk about specific slides to talk about how the Hong Kong railway standards are to be applied. In terms of station design, for equipment rooms, Hong Kong railway standards promotes the use of integrated systems to lower costs and space usage. We also try to make use of innovative technologies. We encourage the industry to make use of standardized designs, such as for stations, that will enhance efficiency of construction. We also try to standardize rolling stock and railway system design configurations so as to lower the life cycle costs of railway projects. We've also unified some inspection standards. We have options that are compatible across both the mainland and Hong Kong, facilitating seamless integration of systems so that they don't have to change the systems. We'll have smoother train service. We have also some standards relating to technical specifications. For example, for equipment, drilling equipment, we have specific standards for machinery. We have also provided standards for materials so that the industry can make good use of the supply chain to have greater flexibility and cost effectiveness. In terms of operation and maintenance, we do want to make use of advanced technology to have smart mobility and to provide greater passenger experience. We want to enhance the level of passenger experience. We will retain current requirements on temperature and brightness so that passengers will still have a familiar station environment. We also encourage the use of smart systems for controls in compartments. In order to implement the Hong Kong Railway standards, the Highways Department redeployed internal resources to set up the railway checking unit. There is a central approval platform to enhance administrative efficiency for the submission of papers and approval of plans. We have before a timeline of 61 days and 30 days respectively for the approval and inspection of documents. Now it's 30 and 21 days. We've also set some KPIs that within the period we have to complete no less than 90% of the cases. In terms of cost effectiveness, I will not repeat what the secretary said because she has covered significantly how we can enhance efficiency. In future, we will maintain close liaison with the industry and work together with different stakeholders to put the Hong Kong Railway standards into application when implementing local and cross-boundary railway projects. We will also take advantage of different fora to promote this internationalization of the Hong Kong Railway standards. In June in Wuxi, we will have a seminar on Hong Kong Railway standards, and as the secretary mentioned, we will take part in a technological summit in Macau and other international events. Thank you.
Right. I thank the administration for the presentation. The floor is now open. 5 members would like to ask questions. Let me read out their names in this order: Mr. Mark Zhang, Ms. Christine Fong, Dr. Ben Chen, Mr. Andrew Lam, and Mr. Gary Chen. And I will be the last one to speak. Time management. Let's start with 4 minutes per member question and answer. Mr. Mark Zhang. I'd like to make a comment. I fully support the government's adoption of the Hong Kong Railway standards. Our convener, Mr. Michael Tan, said that he has waited for 26 years. He hopes that the new standards could break the market dominance by 2 major railway consultants so that European, Asian, or mainland companies can take part in the tendering exercise, so that we can save costs without compromising safety or quality. Now, he told me that when he was chair of the KCRC, he always asked who set the standards, because the relevant consultants adopted the UK or European standards, and for a long time the market was dominated by 2 companies, one US, one UK. It took a long time to go through all the procedures and the vetting processes. So for a long time, without competition from their counterparts from around the world, these 2 companies tended to be too cautious. They raised the safety coefficient really high, and that accounted for the increase in construction costs and a longer schedule. So when we adopt the Hong Kong Railway standards, we'll be able to incorporate different standards, and this can enhance the competitiveness of the tendering exercises. There'll be a greater incentive for consultants from around the world to take part in the bidding process. In fact, our country has a very high safety coefficient, and there are also many railway projects undertaken around the world by mainland companies. So by adopting the new standards, we can cover different aspects of railway construction, from infrastructure, civil engineering, E&M, to the signaling system. Based on the above, I support the Hong Kong Railway Standards. I so submit. Any response from the Secretary? Thank you. I think from our perspective, we want to enhance speed efficiency whilst lowering cost without compromising service quality. Now, with this new landscape of 8 railway lines, we should not just focus on heavy rails. We should focus on cross-boundary lines as well, especially for Northern Metropolis. We have 2 important cross-boundary railway lines, and we also have other connecting lines between the Northern Metropolis and the city rails, and we want to adopt the new technologies. So, be it the use of materials, the installation of equipment, and the use of space, we want the government to take the lead so that we can adopt the new standards and adopt new technologies. And as a result, we'll be able to create this transparent, fair, and open platform, which will allow consultants, engineering companies from around the world, as well as local and mainland companies, to excel themselves on this platform. This is our intention. Mr. Mark Zhong asked about the practices of some consultants. I believe that they abide by the law, but at the same time, we will be the gatekeeper as far as the laws are concerned. Next, Ms. Christine Fong. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Secretary, for sharing her insight. I fully support the Hong Kong Railway Standards. We have developed railway lines for decades. We are on a par with international standards, but we want to be the super value adder. We want to adopt the GBA standards and take forward the railway development in the Greater Bay Area as well. Now, I'd like to ask about paragraph 11 of the paper. By adopting the new railway standards, the cost is expected to be reduced by 20% for the NOL project. Can you tell us the breakdown? How much cost savings can be attributed to adopting the MIMEP, and by how much can the vetting time be compressed, and to what extent can synergy be created between the NOL main line and spur line? Now, the government also mentioned the saving of costs. I want to make sure that in the long run, for the maintenance and operation aspects, costs will not be jacked up if we save costs at the construction stage. I'm also concerned about the RCU. This is a new unit. May I know more about the qualifications of the underpinning personnel? What is the establishment? Because the sector is used to the UK and European standards. Will the colleagues underpinning the RCU be able to cope with the new standards in vetting applications? Now, in light of the Hong Kong Railway Standards, will the department conduct internal training and assessment of the staff to make sure that the applications and submissions will be scrutinized carefully and not just briefly for the sake of meeting the 21-day time frame? Secretary will respond first. Thank you. As mentioned in the paper, we conducted a preliminary assessment on the NOL main line and spur line whilst promulgating the Hong Kong Railway Standards. By adopting the new standards and the setting up of the RCU, will be able to streamline procedures, and as a result, construction costs is expected to be reduced by about 20%. Now, dedicated legislation on Northern Metropolis will be enacted. Within the legal framework, we will also work on other pieces of legislation on environmental protection, noise control, so that we'll be able to further streamline the vetting procedures and lower cost. The second point is about the new railway standards, which cover not only construction but also future operation and maintenance. Now, this is exactly the concern of our team, because apart from saving costs by adopting some prefab materials at the construction stage, in the future, at the operation and maintenance stage, in terms of keeping of records of materials, there will be a system put in place, and this can help us save costs as well. About the next question, training, I'll give the floor to the director, Mr. Yao. Right, for the RCU, it comprises professionals such as building surveyors, engineers, structural engineers, and basically they vet submissions on the basis of different standards. They are responsible for vetting building plans in particular. So, for railway projects, apart from the RCU, we also have a railway office responsible for the supervision of projects and vetting. We also have a safety review mechanism. In fact, for safe and sound vetting, it involves different government departments. So in terms of railway projects, it mostly involves building plan submissions and its vetting. The independent team will continue to monitor the progress of the new projects. Next, Dr. Van Chen. Thank you, Chair. The problems such as over-design have troubled projects in Hong Kong for a long time, because over-design, for example, may lead to increase in project costs. No one dared to trim the fat, and no one dared to write out the new standards, because after trimming the fat there may be risks involved, and that accounts for the ballooning of construction costs. And the Highways Department has come up with the Hong Kong Railway Standards. It's a bold move. It takes courage and commitment to drop the new standards. I think it's a good deed. I fully support the new standards. But I have two questions. I understand the RCU will be set up for vetting building plans. It will work with other government departments as well. What is meant by other departments? Can you tell us more? Second question. The time frame for processing building plan submissions will be reduced from 60 days to 30 days, and for amendment plans from 30 days to 21 days. So that involves the shortening of time frame. Is it included in your KPI? Because plan submission and processing is a very important step. If an amendment is required, then it may take a year at least for the whole project. So if this is a very clear time frame proposed, you should make sure it's included in your KPI. And you need other government department support as well. I'll ask Mr. Yao to take the question. Thank you, Chair. Dr. Chen has made a very good point. For example, when it comes to the vetting of plans, other departments such as Buildings Department, the EMSD, Transport Department, FSD, Police may be involved. Sometimes it may involve the Drainage Services Department and CDD as well. And that is why we set up this dedicated unit supported by a dozen staff. This is a dedicated team to focus on this project. So we take a more aggressive approach. For the time frame, for first plan submission, it will be shortened to 30 days, and for amendment plans, from 30 days to 21 days. Our directorate grade officer will intervene under this mechanism if a certain duration is reached. Say when it's 15th day, and then the directorate grade officer will intervene. And we also have a central electronic platform. Different contractors will need to make use of this e-platform for submission. Comments coming from other government departments will be submitted to the same platform as well, and this can save time in the posting of documents. That is why we're able to shorten the time frame up to 21 days, and we'll be able to accept this indicator of 90%.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Andrew Lam. Thank you, Chair. I think the Hong Kong railway standards come at an appropriate time, and I support the promulgation or the use of such standards. I want to ask two questions. From what I heard the Secretary say, we would be able to save 20% in costs for a specific railway project. I think with the use of Hong Kong railway standards, it will definitely provide great flexibility in terms of design and construction. And the Secretary basically confirmed this line of thinking. But I also note, for example, the paper, from what is in the paper. With design and construction, many things come into play. It will change maintenance, it will change signal management, and other areas. In the procurement of rolling stock and system components, we will encourage the use of standardized components. I do understand where you're coming from, but I also want to know, while we're trying to promote openness, we want to have unified standards in procurement. How are you going to strive for a balance in your future arrangements? If you need to have connections in the rails or the general system, how can you make sure in your signal system and information management you can, while allow for integration, provide safe and reliable services? Secretary, thank you. The members' questions are very much in-depth and valid. I'll try to provide a response. The railway standards are just a starting point. For different areas, we provide the best standards, but we also try to offer flexibility. Regarding what Mr. Lam said, the government will play a role in implementation and gatekeeping. This is very important. We have specific chapters in the Hong Kong Railway Standards on procurement and contract management. For materials and systems alike, there should be flexibility, but there should also be stringent gatekeeping for both construction and operations of railway systems. For responsible persons of different projects, as well as those in the railway checking unit, they will exercise their professional judgment and they will be prudent in playing the gatekeeper role. Regarding what the director said, with the railway checking unit, we have structural engineers, building surveyors, as well as other professionals such as civil engineers. We will have a one-stop approval process done by this unit. The EMSC will play an independent role in operations and maintenance of the railway operations. This will not change under the use of railway standards. Before the commissioning of projects, the EMSC will make comprehensive assessments on safety and reliability, and we will review their findings before commissioning the projects. Thank you. Mr. Chen Hecken. Thank you, Chair. I'm not a member of the subcommittee, but the chairman allows me to speak. Still, I thank you for that. We have referred to different standards for the promulgation of Hong Kong railway standards, so that with new railway projects on the premise of safety and reliability, we can use different components and equipment, saving time and money. The standards will first be promulgated in the Northern Link project as well as the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Railway project. I guess the Secretary knows what I'm going to ask. With the standards being applied to other projects, will it cover East Rail Line additional stations such as Pak Shek Kok Station, so that we can reduce time needed for the construction of stations so that we don't have to wait until 2033. With the use of new standards, how fast can we be? When will the station be completed? Or will you be able to use simplified procedures for the construction of stations? How much time can we save? Thank you. Secretary, Mr. Chen has been paying close attention to the situation on Pak Shek Kok Station. He asked specifically whether the Hong Kong Railway standards can be applied to other projects and how they are going to be applied. Secretary, thank you, member, for the questions. The questions are very forward-looking. We want to have the benefits brought about by us incorporating the latest, most advanced standards of the country, as well as materials into Hong Kong railway standards. With the two cross-boundary railway projects in investigation and preliminary design, we'll be able to adopt some of the practices in the Hong Kong railway standards, and these are done at a right timing. We will also make use of standards in construction and operation under the Hong Kong railway standards, and the relevant consultants and works companies will adopt such practices. Like Mr. Chen said, we will actively take forward MTR heavy rail projects use of Hong Kong railway standards when they undertake extension or new station works. The MTRC is an important stakeholder. They embrace this as well, and we do not work separately. We will make sure to bring these practices in new railway projects, and we will continuously update our estimates in terms of costs and time. Thank you, Chair. I know the time now. The discussion of this item is supposed to end at 1 o'clock. I can see two other members would like to speak, so I will extend the meeting by 15 minutes, or at least until members have spoken. Mr. Aaron Buck, Deputy Chairman, thank you. Chair, I have 2 questions. For the railway checking unit that was newly established, we have different professionals in the unit. I want to ask how many officers there are. Will you consider recruiting more officers or training more officers to handle the intensive project timeline with the Northern Link project and the Hong Kong Shenzhen Railway project? We need to make sure this won't be a bottleneck because they are the only unit dealing with the relevant projects. We need to make sure there is adequate manpower to vet the relevant submissions. For the Northern Link project, it is to be commissioned in 2034 before we promulgated the Hong Kong Railway Standards. So is it possible that we can commission the Northern Link main line before 2034 now? Thank you. Secretary, thank you, Mr. Bach, for the questions. With the KPIs for Railway Checking Unit, as the director and I said earlier, we will make sure to expedite and streamline workflows. We will not have the Railway Checking Unit become the bottleneck in the taking forward of and approval of projects. We have introduced new policies or new operational mindsets. We encourage electronic submissions so we can have centralized management of submissions. We have also introduced a system where senior personnel or directorate personnel can intervene at points where there are some issues, so that it's not just for the railway checking unit, but for railway safety or the Transport and Logistics Bureau in general. We have a structure internally to keep track of progress of contract implementation or projects. So as the member expected, we will expedite the relevant projects. For the Northern Link Mainline project, before the promulgation of the Hong Kong Railway Standards, we already decided to commission the Northern Link spur line along with the main line 2 years earlier so that they can be commissioned by 2034. This has already taken into account the expected benefits of the promulgation of Hong Kong Railway Standards. For the main line, if Mr. Aaron Bach remembers, we have already commenced the first phase works. We have some works entering a mature stage. We will continue to review with the MTRC the implementation of the project. If we can expedite progress, we will. And at an appropriate time, when we see certain updates that can be announced, we will announce them in due course. Thank you. It's now my time to speak. Thank you, Secretary. As the Secretary said, we did not have a set of comprehensive standards before. We had fragmented standards in different areas. I think it is the right time for us to consolidate the different standards. We also need to make sure we keep abreast with the times. We had fragmented standards mainly because we did not review our own standards for many years. And we're doing this now, and I appreciate that. But I want to say something that I hope the Secretary will note. There are some concerns in the industry, or it may be some sort of misunderstanding, whether we are mostly adopting mainland standards. Hong Kong standards have been criticized for being too stringent and outdated, emphasizing too much on safety. But we don't want to remove the standards that should be there, that are good. So the industry basically talked about there should be communication. Ms. Christine Fong talked about life cycle costs, and we heard the Secretary say it will reduce by 20% in estimates. But then, if the 20% costs saved would be on maintenance, that can really affect management of the relevant assets. We don't want to see that. The Secretary may not be able to explain this in great detail, but I believe the government has been really prudent and has derived the standards after careful consideration, and the country is indeed a pioneer in railway standards. But if we think about it, the mainland's high rail or intercity through trains have not really gone through the whole life cycle. They have not really gone through the decades of operations of the life cycle. If for the benefit of safety, some standards do not have to be changed so as not to cause potential operational hazards, we should really think about that. And I actually asked some questions during the Special Finance Committee sessions. I want to repeat them here. We have different departments involved in the work of railway systems. Will there be overlapping in their work? I would like to give a chance to the Secretary to make clarifications again.
Chairman, thank you for giving me this opportunity, especially for the first comment. I'd like to respond to that. I'll also speak on the second part you mentioned. Now, you have brought up a very good perspective. I'd like to take this opportunity to allay your concern. First, under the Hong Kong Railway standards, we're not replacing the existing standards adopted for railway projects in Hong Kong. They continue to be enforced, but we are providing a set of unified, clear technical standards so that our sector will be able to have clarity in adopting, say, new materials, technologies, or equipment. And I think this will bring greater certainty for the sector, and we are going to explain better to them. Now, for the Hong Kong Railway standards, our next step is for them to go global, because we can accumulate experience for tapping the global market, and then we can allow more multinational consultant firms or engineering companies to bid our projects, and this can help promote the mainland railway standards to the world, and we can also give play to our position as an international city. As for the concern expressed by Chairman, in fact, on the last occasion in LegCo, I made the same comment that when we take forward future railway projects, we have the railway development project as well as the Northern Metropolis development project, and the railway development project will be responsible for railway projects other than those related to the Northern Metropolis. As for the office under the Northern Metropolis Development, it will be responsible solely for the related projects in the Northern Metropolis. As for the RCU that we introduced to members just now, the RCU will focus on the vetting of plans. There is no overlapping. They work independently. We also have firewalls set up to make sure that there is independence. The EMSD also has a railway division responsible for ensuring the safety aspect of railway projects. It takes a supervisory role. We also considered whether to conduct a study on the setting up of a new railway department on a basis of the whole life cycle of railways in an integrated manner. Internally, we'll be conducting a very careful study to see whether under the current administrative arrangements and establishment we'll be able to take a more cost-effective approach in taking forward railway projects. Finally, Chairman, you've made a very good point. We don't want to just save costs at the construction stage and allow problems to still spill over to the future operation and maintenance of railway lines. We are being very cautious. In fact, through the Hong Kong MTRCL, when we take forward new railway projects, we entrust the MTR to prepare financial estimates at all the construction, operation, and maintenance stages. And in our future vetting of tenders, we'll also focus not only on construction but also on cost effectiveness at the future operation of the railway line. So we'll be very careful in considering the matter in a comprehensive manner. We will make sure that the problems will not spill over from construction to operation to maintenance stage for the purpose of saving costs. Right, thank you for the very detailed response from the Secretary. We now move on to the second round. Ms. Christine Fong, you will have 3 minutes. Thank you, Chair. Now, I really cherish this opportunity to discuss the Hong Kong Railway standards at this meeting. And I fully agree with what Chairman said. Our railway lines have been in operation for decades, and we have accumulated experience. We also need to face the issue squarely. That is, we learn from mistakes. We review how we failed, and then we drop the Hong Kong Railway standards as an improvement. I'm happy to learn that the government has gone digital in a one-stop manner, and that the whole vetting process will be undertaken by the RCU. There will also be the participation of other government departments as the gatekeeper. And I'm happy to learn from the Secretary that as far as the life cycle of the project is concerned, you won't blindly achieve cost saving at the construction stage and leave the financial problems to the latter stage. Now, Secretary, you should make sure that you will be the good gatekeeper, because for Lohas Park Station in Tseung Kwan O Line, apparently the at-grade design has been neglected. The facility is too small, and that leads to problems at the future maintenance stage, because like I said, you have E&M facilities, MI using prefab materials, and that you're not able to provide additional facilities because of the layout. As for the signaling system, in the past we adopted the European standard. Now I'm happy to know that the Hong Kong Railway standards will cover signaling system as well. So have you make reference to how the system should be managed in Europe or in the mainland? A number of questions, please. Secretary, let me answer the first one. Now, we promote diversity in the adoption of standards, but it doesn't mean that we just stay put. In the mainland, there are very advanced technologies, designs being used, and they have a very good vision. So in the future, we would like to adopt the same approach in enhancing passenger experience. We will keep in mind this principle in our design. We also need to have regard to the local circumstances and make necessary adjustments. And that's why during our discussion, I've asked our teams to see this through. At the initial stage, we don't just follow the standards. At the procurement stage, we can make adjustments based on the needs of individual stations. As mentioned in the PowerPoint, by promulgating the Hong Kong Railway Standards, we want to enhance passenger experience and adopt higher standard. As for signaling, I'll give the floor to Mr. Yao. Now about the signaling system, in fact, our country has done a very good job. In fact, in 2024, for a high-speed rail project, the total length stood at 3,000 kilometers, or at least for high-speed rail, 2,500 kilometers. The signaling system is of high accuracy. Even the sector in Hong Kong asks why we're not adopting the same. Now, for the railway extension lines for cross-boundary railway projects, we see an opportunity to adopt the country's signaling system, which has been used for a long time and extensively. Right, thank you. We have another member waiting to speak for the first round, Ms. Julia Lau, 4 minutes. Please observe the time limit so that the secretary and her team can respond to your question. Right, I have one question, one comment. Mainland construction methodology may be adopted, and that includes MICs to be deployed underground. I want to know how much cost savings per kilometer can be achieved. Another suggestion is this: I have confidence in your railway projects. For at-grade structure in other countries such as UK, US, Canada, they don't adopt a standard design. In fact, they keep the unique features at different locations. So how do you make sure architects still have a say over the design, as in particular the visuals? Because in 2026 you should have regard to the global trend. Now, 30 years ago, when I first became an architect, I served in a foreign architect firm, and this firm was responsible for alteration works of subway exits. So this is nothing new. I just want to make sure architects will still have a say on the at-grade facilities. Let me respond to that. Yes, I fully agree with Ms. Julia Lau, especially on her second point. Let me reassure you, we will, of course, emphasize the unique characteristics of Hong Kong and the unique features of local communities. We allow flexibility under Hong Kong railway designs. If architects in Hong Kong would like to showcase the uniqueness of Hong Kong in the design, then definitely in the new development areas, they will be allowed to do so in the specific stations. We will take note of this comment, and I will see if Director has this information at hand. Just to answer Ms. Lau's question, for Hong Kong railway standards, indeed, for underground facilities, if circumstances permit, we will make use of MIC. There may be indicators for individual facilities or methods to help us gauge how much cost savings are achieved. But we need to be careful, Chairman, and I'm sure you understand that when we apply a certain method or use certain materials at a construction site, we still need to make adaptation and adjustments. At the site, we may need to adopt special measures. We need to have regard to safety. And Chairman and Ms. Fong just now also mentioned the construction stage. At the construction stage, cost may be saved, but we need to consider the future maintenance and operation, whether things will remain safe. So in the end, cost savings cannot be translated directly in this project. We need to be very careful. So on this premise, with the emphasis added, let's see if Director has anything to supplement. Before I ask Mr. Yao to respond, I'd like to seek members' consent to further extend the meeting by 15 minutes so that we can complete the discussion and the rest of the agenda. No objection, Mr. Yao, please.
I'm done.
Thank you, Chair. We talked about MIC earlier. We have seen really changes going from on the ground to underground. But then we also need to make sure we have regard to the design of the stations. For a standard station that is not a large station, we can have construction personnel reduced from 200 to 40 because almost the whole process is automated. We also make use of different construction methods and equipment under the standards. So when contractors make their bids for tendering exercises, they will show which methods they use and the tender prices will reflect that. Thank you. Thank you. This is the end of the discussion of this item. When members spoke earlier, I note that members very much appreciate the promulgation of Hong Kong Railway standards because it will enhance speed and efficiency. It can potentially save costs. There's a greater mission. It is to incorporate different standards of the world as well as the country, so that Hong Kong Railway standards will not only become GBA standards, but maybe even standards of the world. And we can leverage our strengths in this regard. I have great expectations. I hope the Secretary can open a new chapter for us so that Hong Kong Railway standards can become one of the top standards in the world. Thank you, members, for attending this meeting. Well, the discussion of this item is over. Let's go into the fifth agenda item. Any other business? There's no other business. Meeting adjourned. I would like to thank the Secretary and her team for attending the meeting again.